I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Esther, chapter 5, and let's focus on verses 1 through 3. On the third day, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner courtyard of the king's palace, opposite the king's hall. And the king was sitting on his royal throne in the king's hall, across from the entrance to the hall. And when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the courtyard, she won his favor. So the king extended the gold scepter in his hand toward Esther. Esther approached and touched the tip of the scepter. "What is it you want, Queen Esther?" the king replied to her. "Whatever your request, up to half the kingdom, it'll be given to you." History records that on January 10th, 49 BC, Julius Caesar, you guys know him. He's famous for that salad dressing. No, I'm joking. By the Senate of Rome, he had been declared an enemy of the Roman state. And then he took a step that forever changed the course of history. He crossed the Rubicon. And by leaving his home province and crossing that shallow river with his army, Caesar, in effect, had declared war on the Roman Empire. Alea jacta est, in which Latin it means the die is cast. Caesar risked his all, and he succeeded, as perhaps no one else could. So would the same be true for Esther now that she had taken that one small step across a threshold to the king's royal hall? We might anticipate big drama and suspense here, but the author tells the story almost as if it was an everyday event, and we know that it wasn't, as if there was no special emphasis. Interestingly, the author chooses not to build tension surrounding Esther's approach to the king, but immediately reveals that the king graciously welcomed Esther into his presence. Thus, Esther is not painted as a heroine or a superhuman with these crazy superhero proportions. She just merely portrayed someone who has a task to do and then who does it calmly and faithfully and efficiently. And there's a lesson for followers of Jesus here. We shouldn't seek to be the heroes or to be recognized as really anything other than obedient to the Lord. And if we will live our lives in simple, diligent devotion, well, there's no end to the amazing things that the Lord will accomplish through us. Where then is heroism? Is it not God who works through us? Doesn't the glory completely go to Him for the accomplishments of even the most pious among us? The events of chapter 5 take place on the third day. That is the day that the fast that either Esther initiated or was to end. And what a difference 3 days makes in her willingness to risk her life in luxury for the betterment of other people, especially of the Jewish people. And it begs the question, what is fasting? She's declared a fast, and at the end of the fast, she shows up before the king. What is fasting? You know, fasting is more than simply not eating. Fasting is to intentionally deny your flesh's desire for the thing that it wants most deeply, which is to continually feed itself. That's why fasting most often is to deny yourself food for a season. Well, then what happens when you deny yourself food? Well, first thing that happens is the flesh starts fighting like crazy to get you to feed it. And when we fast, we're making our flesh submit to our will. When we combine prayer with fasting, well, then we're making our flesh submit to our will as we are seeking God's will. So now we understand where Esther's boldness comes from, not from Mordecai, who says, "Listen, chick, if you don't get in front of that king right now, it's going to be toast for your people." No, she has to put herself, flesh and all, under God's direction, because her flesh was firmly under her direction. You understand? I put my flesh under my direction so that I can submit to God's direction, and that's when we hear from the Lord. Are you struggling with a difficult decision? And do you feel as if your flesh continues to lead you down paths that the Holy Spirit does not want you traveling on? Well, then try seeking the Lord day by day through reading His Word and praying. That's why Groundworks Ministries exist. Deny your flesh the control that it wants over your schedule and say, no, this time is set aside to deny myself and to seek the Lord. There can only be one Alpha in control of your life, so make sure it's the Alpha and Omega. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. If you are donating to Groundworks Ministries, thank you, because we need your support so dearly. And your support has brought this message even today, not only to you, but to so many others. Your giving to Groundworks Ministries transforms lives. Would you consider making a donation to Groundworks Ministries today? Because we need your monthly support now more than ever. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. Another way to help is to tell people about Groundworks Ministries. You can share these podcasts with friends and family and on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.